So we're going to our first panel. We're really social media focused today. We have some amazing speakers, amazing panels, and without further ado, we're going to get some people up here, and we're also going to be talking about artificial intelligence. So this panel is actually about how is AI disrupting the media and influencer space. The moderator for this one is Marco Lucchesini. Please put your hands together for the host and the panel.
Yeah, let's keep going with the introduction. So yeah, Nate from CryptoSlate. We have here with us the Arnold brothers from, you probably have seen Altcoin Daily. Tom Busby from CryptoBusy, and of course as well Blake Kuhre, yeah, from Busby. Glad to have you here today.
So that's Austin. This is Austin. I'm Aaron from Altcoin Daily. They probably thought we were the same person, so hopefully AI can help with this in the future.
Yes,
it's not a deep fake.
It's not a deep fake. It's not a deep fake. That's right. But AI has been overwhelming the last 12 months. Probably last year nobody really used AI in their daily lives, and now it's just been a key part of what we do every day. So I'm pretty sure today we're just going to discover how these guys are using AI for editorials and influencer space. So maybe let's just start with a quick introduction. Nate, maybe why don't you start? Yes.
Sure. Hey guys, I'm Nate from CryptoSlate. CryptoSlate is a comprehensive, contextualized platform for crypto news, data, insights. We have a big focus on Bitcoin, macro, Web3, DeFi, and increasingly AI.
Perfect. Yeah, Blake, go ahead.
Fantastic. My name is Blake Kuhre. I'm co-founder and CEO of Swim. We're a Web3 company focused on digital influencers.
Yeah, please.
My name's Austin Arnold, founder and host, along with my brother, of Altcoin Daily, one of the largest crypto YouTube channels in the space. Also on Twitter. Great to be here.
There you go. Tom.
Tom, and so co-founder and co-host of the CryptoBusy channel, and also co-founder of the CBY group.
Great. So I think the key idea...
Aaron Arnold?
Oh, I'm so sorry. See,
this is going to be tough.
It's going to be tough, when
Aaron Arnold, other host of Altcoin Daily. Hey, let's make some noise in the audience, huh? Good to be here. Yeah!
There you go. Yeah, let's start on how you guys are using, AI in digital creation in your content that you do. So, people usually underestimate how much and, the effort goes through in creating maybe a 10 minutes video. So yeah, let's start with you. How are you using AI in your daily life?
Yeah, I mean, I would say there's probably so many AI tools I don't know about yet. I do use AI when it comes to YouTube creation. So, what I do is when it comes to like making static images or video images, Photoshop and Adobe Premiere are the two programs I use. Their beta version is incorporating AI heavy. So with Photoshop, with the thumbnails, there's all kinds of tools. Most specifically, I guess, the generative fill tool. So I take a picture of myself, several pictures for my thumbnails. I don't want to take a picture every day, but I have a bunch of faces in the same shirt. Basically, you can just outline your shirt on the Photoshop and say, put me in a pink polo, or put me in a blazer or a leather jacket, and it'll give me a totally new look. Or if I don't like the background, hey, make this background lighter or different or a different color. Also, things like ChatGPT, the way I use it isn't so much for creating scripts, because I find that you have to do a lot of refining. It's possible, but still intuitively, I would know, Austin would know, our team would know what's best as far as scripts goes. But what I use ChatGPT for, or things like it, is basically to summarize, whether it's like big white papers, not so much anymore white papers, but big, texts, websites, put it in, say, summarize this for me, tell me what it's about. It makes my research a whole lot easier.
Yeah. What about you? How do you use, AI? Has AI helped you in what you do?
Yeah, for sure. We, again, as you said, it's not specifically for scripts. The videos that we create aren't particularly scripted. It's just from what the research that we've done. The key part really, ultimately, is the research. That's what we've used GPT for. So we've got a great research team behind the scenes at CryptoBusy, and also at CBY as well. But we've used it for research in different areas. If it's something about, even if it's something to do with Bitcoin itself, research about that. But that's sort of at a very low level. But what it means is that it completely sort of takes away the whole hours and days of work of research, because it's a big thing. And it puts it down into like a few minutes, maybe sort of a half an hour max, to get the content out, which is super important.
Yeah, I mean, I think, Nate, you have something to say here from editorial's perspective. It takes a lot of time to do all the research and write pieces, so.
For sure. For us, AI has completely revolutionized our editorial process. And big shout out to our senior editor, Liam, who built a lot of incredible internal tools.
Yeah.
Give it up for Liam. Yeah. Yeah, so we built out a bunch of incredible AI tools that we are only using internally right now that allowed us to do everything from editorial review to even content production. We've been able to train the AI models that we're using on a specific writer's voice and how they're writing articles. So then the content generation will take us like 80 to 90% of the way there, but then it still requires 10 to 20% human effort to review that the AI is not making stuff up or it's doing everything as we had anticipated or intended. So it's allowed us like an incredible amount of operational efficiency, content production side, on the creative side, on the editorial side, and I feel like right now CryptoSlate is probably using AI more thoroughly than any other crypto media.
Yeah. Blake, what do you think about it?
Well, I would have to say, I mean, our two core components for our company are storytelling and production value. And those are two chief components, really, that honestly, AI isn't quite there yet at mastering them. But I think what we are learning is that from the editorial side that Nate was speaking to, we see a lot of that actually. In fact, we're using that in our daily workflows for the types of scripts that are important to the actual language that we have a character that you'll meet soon that actually uses that. So you're going to see that, I think, become more and more common, especially when it comes to interaction. It really does help make it more authentic, because authenticity is really what everyone is striving for, but it's also very difficult and costly to have that.
Hold on for a second. A character that we're about to meet soon in the AI space. Are you taking my job?
Hold on to your hats. It's okay. No, we're actually not. The important thing is, if you look at where we are today, influencers are very important. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you.
And so you're going to be safe for quite some time, as are you, as are everyone who's in this space. I mean, this is something that we're looking to more or less enhance and not replace. And it's not just us. If you look right now in the Asia Pacific markets in particular, they're already taking off, I would say, over the last 3 to 5 years. They're much more common, virtual influencers as they were. And what people are finding out more and more is that it's not so much about a person, it's really about a personality. So everyone has that. You guys have that. That's why you're so successful on your YouTube channel, and you have those great interviews that you bring on every single week. That's something that is not going to change. But when you look at the audience and what they're gravitating towards, they're always looking at something that they can believe in, that they can trust, they can follow, and it doesn't necessarily have to be real. It can be a character. And so character development is very important. And if you look at what brands want a lot of customization, they want to lower their costs, and they also want to have a lot more of when it comes to predictability. They actually want that. If you can see, a lot of influencers are very unpredictable. So those are some things we can touch on a little bit later.
Well, Blake, let me ask you this, because what you're doing, building this basically AI influencer, I think is the future, and I think at a certain point it will take away not all of our jobs, but a lot of our jobs, because what's one of the biggest problems with influencers, they age out, they get in trouble, things change. So you can see how that would apply to YouTube or TikTok, but even if we get to some of the more seedy aspects, if you create an AI OnlyFans girl that stays 25 forever, or a guy, whatever it is, in the porn industry, a guy, girl, whatever, I mean, those people can last forever without aging, and you can make bank. Is that how you think about it?
If you look at, this is nothing new. If you look at Mickey Mouse, has Mickey Mouse aged over the years? No, he's been the same since 1925. He's the same character. He's not changed. He's evolved slightly and tweaked. But I think if you look at what virtual influencers, in particular, one example that's very successful, and probably the only example that's successful in the United States at this level, is Little Michaela. So if you're familiar with Little Michaela, she has about 3.5 million followers. And what's interesting about Little Michaela is that she's not actually a human being. She's a virtual influencer. But the poses and where you find her in different settings, it's actually a person with a face that is not a legacy influencer. So that's how we really like to look at it in that way.
I would like to, before I answer, gauge the audience a little bit. How many of you guys have used AI practically in your business or
Played with
Show
it.
of hands.
If you played with it.
That's huge. That's
Yes,
absolutely
almost everyone.
huge. Like, my answer would essentially be the same as my brother's. I've used it for Photoshop. I used it to help create the thumbnails. But how AI is going to revolutionize every aspect of art is so obvious to me. Like, it's going to help create the stories. It's going to help create the music. It's going to be able to crowdsource a 100x version better than Google. But just like it's going to be a new subset of influencer. That the AI versions that Coca-Cola would much rather create their own than pay somebody. It's also going to enhance and be able to help and be able to elevate the current influencers. For example, one of the aspects of AI that I think everybody is going to end up using is just a way, and Tom, you mentioned this a little bit, cut down research or enhance research tenfold. Because now, if I'm trying to if I'm a musician and I'm trying to get an influence, get creative, find something that inspires me, instead of having to, search on Google, go on YouTube, listen to other artists, maybe there's 1,000 CDs in front of me and I'm trying to find something that inspires me. Man, if I get one little nugget, I can immediately go to the AI and find 100 more songs by this artist and then 10,000 that are so specific that are just like him and get inspired and use that faster. So I think it's going to be, there'll be the AI influencers, and it's also going to help elevate a whole new crop of real humans.
Specifically, if you're a hip-hop producer and you're sampling stuff, I mean, what Dre did in the 90s, what Kanye and everybody does now, I mean, it's going to make it 100 times easier, obviously.
Yeah, I was going to say, jumping onto that point that you made there about sort of reducing that research time. That's one big thing that we focused on at the CBY group is that one thing is the advisory and the consultancy, so sourcing and finding companies, people within the space who have mentioned, or outside the space, people Web 2, who have mentioned that they want to get into crypto, they've mentioned an expression or an interest getting into the space. So in the past, you had to maybe go on Google or and find the person and go through loads and loads of articles, loads of hours of content, of video, everything, and that just takes days, and that can add up into weeks as well. But with ChatGPT, it reduces it down to just a quick prompt, and then it'll just spit it all out, to the point where it will say the name of the person or the company, and it will also say an example of what they've said, if they've expressed interest in crypto. And then we say, okay, well, thank you for that information, but we want to just have the name, so you can say the prompt without the explanation, and it will just spit out the names. It's just
Plus,
insane.
it's so good for creative inspiration. Like, if you have a blog post and you pop that blog post into ChatGPT and you ask it to come up with 10 creative headline ideas, that makes the process a lot easier to identify what is the headline that's going to be most engaging for the reader. So we use it a ton for actually summary of articles, summary of analysis, even legal documents, to spin up a persona that's, I want you to be my expert legal analyst and review this contract, find the holes in it. That's something that's incredibly powerful, is just spinning up very specific personas that will synthesize a specific form of intelligence, and then you get back some pretty magical stuff. And I also have to say that there's a huge difference between ChatGPT 3.5, which is the free version, and 4.0. So if you're using ChatGPT 3.5, I highly recommend that you pay $20 a month and get access to 4.0, because it is a totally different beast.
What's different about it?
Oh, it's trained on a lot better data. It's a lot, it hallucinates a lot less. So it makes up data less. The idea of hallucination is that when you feed information to ChatGPT, it sometimes has the tendency to actually just create facts out of nowhere. So we've noticed significantly less hallucination or making up of information with 4.0. It's also just so much more thorough in terms of the responses that it gives. So I highly recommend 4.0.
Yeah, it feels like, AI is very much embedded in anything that you do, but I think one of the main concerns of people is this piece authentic? Is this art authentic? How can I trust that what you're saying is actually real? And, it kind of raised this concern is the value of what AI creates really as important, as valuable as, what a person do? What do you think about it, Tom?
As the value of the content, that value is as important as what a human
Yes,
would
because
make.
it feels, it doesn't feel real if I tell you that it's AI generated,
Yeah,
right?
right now, I mean, you can differentiate the two. When you look into deepfakes and those prompts where it's text to image, where you've got Elon Musk working at McDonald's, and it's you can tell it's.
You can tell?
You can kind of tell, but it's starting to get.
Kind of tell.
It's starting to get to the point where
Not everybody's as smart as you and me, though. My mom can't tell.
Yeah, but it's
And she's
it's
really
getting to
smart,
the
by
point-
the way.
It's getting to the point where you give it 2 more years, nobody can tell. But what I find even scarier is the text to video. I don't know if you've seen anything like that of what is it, Will Smith eating spaghetti. It looks quite funny at the moment, but again, give it 2 years, 5 years of innovation, it's going to look indistinguishable. And to the point that you're making there, that value, it's going to become that line is going to be blurred. In my opinion.
People like us, you, me, Austin, and people like your journalists in a different way. It's like there's so much audio recording of our voice out there. There's programs right today that can imitate our voice, call up our parents, and my parents are going to think they're talking to us. We've talked about and everything, and certainly for more prominent celebrities, and it's only going to get bigger. So this problem of fake news, this problem of inauthenticity, it's only going to get bigger and worse of a problem as AI gets more prominent. I'm not sure how to solve it, but I mean, with your journalists, they can copy their writing style or whatever it is. I don't know how to solve it.
For what you just said too, actually, this idea that there's a fake version of your family member that calls up and has the same voice. There's recently a brilliant but simple idea proposed to just have a secret word with your family. Have a secret word like lullaby if you think someone's asking you for sketchy information.
You got to get a new one now. And I just want to highlight, to me, this is where the blockchain comes in. Because as the world gets more digital, right now we're at a point where, we assume the picture's real, and we question, maybe it's a deep fake. I think in 2 years, 5 years, we're going to assume the picture's fake, we're going to assume the video's fake, and then have to verifiably prove, is this real? Blockchain, for the first time in digital history, provided verifiable ownership in that digital age. So as AI improves, blockchain is improving right along with it, and that's one of the biggest use cases.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting very hard to differentiate what is real and what is not.
By the way, we got an applause break for blockchain. Is the bull market back on? Woo!
Yeah, I think another scary, unsettling thing when it comes to AI, especially is the artistry side. Because it is convenient, certainly, you've seen a lot of these selfie apps that make your face into something from the 17th century to all the way into the future. It can be anything you want. But you have to understand that, and this is why there's so much litigation now, is because a lot of these are pixelated and they're web crawlers that are going around and looking at different artists and pulling them all together and then basically creating an image that's based on real artists' work. And that's really unfortunate because that's not something that AI was really meant to do. And we're always having these conversations about what else could it do that we don't want it to do. And that's probably the most benign of things, but still it is kind of unsettling because artistry is so special and so passionate for so many. And then when you realize it can just be done like that, it's nothing. And that's just kind of too much of an inconvenience can be, I don't think, a really good thing, especially when it impacts livelihoods in that way. Yeah,
that's for sure. Yes, a lot of artists might be threatened by AI to get kind of replaced, but in a way, if used right, they can enhance their productivity, and of course, the piece that they create. Do you think, of course, same works as well in the content that you create, in what Nate does as well. So, do you think is AI going to replace jobs, people in your kind of workplace, and is that a bad thing?
I mean, I think as soon as somebody invents that AI OnlyFans person, their jobs are getting replaced.
First subscriber right here.
But, AI is definitely going to replace the tedious jobs if it's like, things that are trivial. I mean, those are what AI is, solves best. And once it gets more advanced with the VR, AR, the graphics, I think you're at risk. You got to be bringing something new to the table or incorporating it yourself so that you don't fall short.
You have to take it into what you're doing with your business. You either you have to adapt or you're going to be left in the past at that point. It's super important too. Yeah.
And let's remember, AI's a tool, much like the internet's a tool, much like Bitcoin's a tool. The internet's replaced a whole bunch of jobs, but it also created a whole bunch of jobs. So it's just a new paradigm. AI will be used by the good guys, by the bad guys, the thing to understand is it'll be used.
That's
It's not going away.
That's a good point. Sprinkling AI on your business, obviously, we understand this, but some people don't. It's not some secret sauce to give your business the edge, just like incorporating blockchain isn't some secret sauce to give your business the edge. It's got to be used smartly. We all understand this.
Yeah, it really depends how you use the tool to improve what you do, right? So maybe something that we would like to discuss would be, are you using AI to understand what your audience wants? Because it's very hard sometimes. There is a lot of noise, and maybe people need the next 100x coin to bet on, or they just want to have a very engaged article. How are you guys using this AI to really understand and personalize the content around your audience? Maybe Nate, you can start here.
Yeah, so one thing I'll say quickly about people worried about their jobs being displaced by AI is that this is why it's so important for everyone to lean into AI as much as possible, because the people that are going to be displaced, at least in the next 5 years, are those that are not using AI. So the more that everyone uses AI and figures out ways to make themselves more operationally efficient by being an expert at using the stuff, you will be displacing the people that are not using AI. So I think that's something really important to consider. As far as how we're using it right now, we haven't yet quite gotten to the point where we're taking a backlog. We have published about 14,000 articles over the past 6 years. And we have tons of data, obviously, of what keywords are being used, how many views all those articles got. Something that I think we will be doing in the near term is actually uploading a spreadsheet of all of that data, asking AI to chew on it and give us some insights so that then we can go back and say, will this particular article topic, will this headline engage with our readers? So I think being able to create this persona of basically a content expert for your own content and then to be able to ask it questions, I think that's a very powerful use case.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at the production process that's involved, let's say for animation, so what we do with our character, Aya, who you'll meet later on today, he's actually DJing the closing party, so you'll be sure want to stick around for that.
Does he take requests?
He does. He does. You'll just have to wait and find out. Unfortunately, he was going to join us on this panel today too, but he's rehearsing, so he does take quite some time to actually get ready for hair and makeup.
What a diva.
Well, it's one of those things that's why virtual influencers make sense, because there's not really a whole lot of that you have to worry about. A brand no longer has to worry about one that's going to never show up at an event that they said that they would attend. Or let's say that perhaps maybe they're going to go off the rails and be very controversial and then cause irreparable harm to that brand. Like now there's more control. And there's also a huge cost savings. But I think when it comes to the AI side of how that's really implementing what we're looking at is speeding up the animation process, because if you see what's happening right now with Unreal Engine, all of the best content is made in Unreal Engine. So if you see how long it's taken in the past to create, let's say, an animated series or a full-length feature film, that would take sometimes months, years to make. Now, we're almost there where it can be done in real time, where it's absolutely indistinguishable. So can you just think about a real-time animated series, let's say, on a network of your choice or SVOD on demand? It doesn't matter what it's on, what platform, but it's happening in real time. We already see this actually with Netflix and Dance Monsters. I don't know if you're familiar with that. Basically, Dance Monsters, if you haven't seen it already, it's a music reality show, not unlike American Idol or America's Got Talent, for example, but they're actually actors backstage wearing motion capture suits. And then on screen, as a viewer, you're seeing these monsters actually compete like actual humans do. It's really entertaining. So I think there's a lot more promise there, and cutting down that production process is going to be key to creating more content at scale.
Yeah. Aaron, how are you guys doing instead? Are you using any AI tool to, understand what the audience is looking for?
Yeah, so I mentioned we're using the AI tools for kind of creating the content, the photoshops, the research. As far as when the content is actually released, there's all kinds of tools out there, whether you're live streaming to give you intuitive analytics. People are tuning out, people are tuning in. You got more engagement here. There's more males now, there's more females now, there's more people, in this age group or this age group. There's all kinds of stuff for after the video is released. It's getting better and better for actual live streaming. We don't do a lot of live streaming, so what we're using it for is more after the content is released. And some of this stuff isn't even, AI as you think of it. It's just, the early versions of just data analytics. But those businesses are incorporating that because that's what's going to give them the edge, and we're naturally going to pick it up. And I'm honestly going to use what gives me the best data, and it's the most user-friendly. And that stuff is happening. It's kind of like in the 2010s to 2020s, we just had this boom of producers in like hip hop and music in general, in that the tools just became that much easier. And what Dr. Dre did in the 90s, everybody could do with the programs we had in the last 10, 15 years. And that's what it's going to be with, this specifically, being able to see, like right now, if you live stream, you can see the viewers. There's more viewers now than there was later, and there's more viewers here and more people liked here. But like I said, it's going to tell you the age group. It's going to tell you all these little things. And if you're smart enough and intuitive enough to actually utilize this, or your team utilizes it, it can give you a big edge in streaming.
Yeah. What about you, Tom?
Well, I was going to say that data, the analytics that you get on YouTube Studio and everything, it's super valuable, especially for the content that we create. It's, you're able to cater it in that sense. One of the biggest bottlenecks that we have, one of the biggest hurdles we want to get through is predictive. Sort of understanding, is the video that we're about to put out there, is that going to be a 1 out of 10, or is it going to be a 10 out of 10, on the YouTube Studio? And
your videos are 10 out of 10s to me, man.
When it comes to finding ways to create the content that there's been times in the past where we've put in hours of work and effort into the video, and then it's a 10 out of 10, and it's so disheartening. But then there's been times when we put it into minutes of work, and then it's a 1 out of 10. So we'd like to get to a position where we use AI or utilize it within our videos, where we can know if this is going to do well. The analytics right now, it gives a good indication of, okay, this video helped, and this got good interaction and everything. But when it comes to actually predictive, it's a bit different.
Guys, AI did manage to get my picture up there, so thank you to artificial intelligence and the team.
So analytics are definitely important, and especially with these tools that really help you to go through all the data in a very quick way. It maybe could be interesting to see how, do you think virtual influencers would just pop up out of AI, with all the data they got? Can they really create a sort of, audience for themselves without the input of any human?
It needs to have the direction of a human, I think. Who knows in the future? My lizard brain can only think so far in the future. But, I think in the next 10 years, you're going to need a human controlling it and tweaking it, and they'll be able to get by a lot of pain points that a normal person, just because you got to sleep and do other stuff, it's just, you're going to have so much of an edge. But at this point, in the next 10 years, I think you need that team to lead it.
Yeah.
I would say, I am excited about how individual content creators are going to be able to utilize AI. I'm still researching, I'm still looking, but I think almost like the bigger potential is how these platforms are going to offer intuitively the tools of AI to get content creators, the best ones, the most ones, on their platform. For example, TikTok, the reason it blew up, number one, the algorithm, but number two, it gave creators the toolkit, so it was easier than ever for those people to start growing a following on their own. We're already seeing YouTube is already really good, I think, with giving back-end analytics, and specifically the last 2 years more than ever. If you guys have used YouTube as a creator, then you can see where people start tuning out. You can see all these different analytics where people pop in. YouTube's about to roll out A/B testing for thumbnails. So the first time ever, you can put 2 thumbnails in, and they'll A/B test and tell you which audience did better, which thumbnail you want to use. So I think the biggest thing I'm excited for is how these platforms are going to give the creators the tools intuitively to bring those creators to their platform.
Yeah. Blake, are you...
No, I think the next wave of entertainment, obviously, is much out of home as possible. That's why we're all here. Especially ever since the pandemic, everyone really wants to get out more and more. And having that capability and being around like-minded people and having that real, tangible aspect is never going to go away. So that's I think the biggest takeaway is that you don't have to worry about, a lot of this is virtually, there's still going to be that important physical connection that's needed. But when it comes to TikTok, the biggest growth area right now for them is actually live streaming. And live streaming is something that I've been involved with for the past 5 years. Originally Tencent, ByteDance, I actually was in China, it took off there before really it even was known here. Now we see it everywhere, obviously, Twitch, YouTube, you can go on and on. But TikTok realizes this, and it took a while for it to catch on, but the monetization aspect of live programming is unlike any other. Just think of like the old school telethons where you would call and pledge, like, you know, send it now. Like this is the sense of urgency that's so important. And I think what you're going to see more and more of is live entertainment. Because at the end of the day, if you look at the entertainment that's out there, it does take a lot to constantly be consistent, to edit, to make sure you have a routine schedule. But if you can do all that live, and you have an audience that's willing to like tune in every time, push notification they're live, that's huge. And that's really what's going to, I think, differentiate so much of what we see out there. And it's funny, like, if you look at what's the most watched time, guess what? It's prime time. When everyone's home, when everyone's normally watching TV before we have everything that's now on your phone, it was between around 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. in each time zone. So nothing new there. But now everyone's still in the same place, but it's still going to look like, how can we enjoy this entertainment at a much deeper level that we've never seen before and interact with it, and also the platforms love it because it's so much more monetizable.
Yeah.
So Blake, let me ask you a question. Do you think this is the future with the AI influencer like yours or something like yours where, you know, like I said, it's a big problem. Us as humans, we gotta eat, we gotta sleep. I can't be streaming 24/7. But if I was, I could get that much more usership and grow that much stronger. And so do you think we'll have an AI that streams close to 24/7 and maybe switches out the keywords? So now we're hitting the Asian market because they're up, or now this is the news, and now we're talking about this, and really just pinpoint exactly, like just like a growth, like.
Well, you know, you answer your own question, right? You look at what is it going to take. You don't have to worry about schedules. You don't have to worry about sleep. You don't have to worry about feeding AI. I mean, in terms of does it need vacation? You know, does it need to have its expenses reimbursed? You know, none of these things even exist, right? This is not even a question. So that's a really big, important consideration. So if you look at the different markets right now, like you mentioned, that's right now, it's just starting to take hold in the North American market and European market. If you recall, not too long ago, last year, TikTok Shop actually premiered in the UK first, and then they shut it down. But they're bringing it back. So e-commerce is going to be the next wave that you're going to see in live streaming. And that's something that is already just starting to take hold here. Amazon's tried it a bit, Twitch has tried it a bit, but it goes back to, once again, this is nothing new. Home Shopping Network, QVC, this is just sort of like the same song, second verse. The best way to put it is just like, you're going to have this type of yearning that an audience still wants to connect with whatever is on screen, but they're not going to want to be fed something that's just prescribed and that's necessarily just recorded, because then it's going to be a matter of differentiating what type of content are you going to consume. It's like a level, like a premium level is going to be live, or you just want to see the recaps, you know? It's just similar like ESPN. If you wanted to watch the game live, you want to get NFL Sunday Ticket, you want all the games, you're going to pay for it. It's live. You just want to watch the highlights, you can do that online. You know?
Yeah.
So it's all about timing.
So how many years away do you think, maybe we're already kind of like just peaking into the mainstream, maybe that's a couple years away, but how many years away do you think that is, and how many years away do you think it goes like full retail, just as ubiquitous as a QVC or like TikTok, or like, how long do you think?
I mean, I don't have a crystal ball, right? I mean, if you just look at...
If any of us knew the future, we'd all be rich.
I think if you look at what happened in China with QR codes, their WeChat, Alipay, these are all like their standard operating procedure of how they pay, tap to pay. Obviously in Europe, it's been here longer than it has been in the US, but really what did it take to make that happen? It was the pandemic, right? QR codes were almost like a novelty, if you recall, 3-4 years ago in Western markets. But then when contactless became so much more important. So it's gonna take some kind of event to really push that envelope. And you know, we don't know what that's going to be, but it's going to be something that is going to drive that next level of adoption. Like what's going to cause that? What's going to cause an audience to say, yes, I'm willing to do that, and here's why. It's getting me to think outside of the box. It's getting me to like look beyond just what's in front of me. So if you really do want to see what's coming, you look really to the east, I would say. If you look to Asia Pacific markets, in particular China, Japan, South Korea, they're already well ahead of the curve on many fronts. I mean, even South Korea has the best broadband in the world, the fastest, and we're all suffering, with.
For the adoption, I would say that's true, but right now we have the West leading AI, companies like OpenAI we all know that AI is much more powerful than currently what China is doing, because even though China is going to be a major player in AI, and Elon actually said this a few days ago, that he knows China is going to be big, they're still about 2 to 3 years behind the West. And a big part of that is because of chips, because of NVIDIA in particular. All these GPUs are being used for AI. So that's actually something to really take into consideration with, yes, the East will definitely lead on the adoption side, but technologically, the West is leading much more.
Nate, do you think that the next generation of editorial piece will be just managed by AI? Is AI your best employees at the moment?
Yeah, I mean, like I said before, I think it's the journalists that are leaning into AI, because it does take a lot of the headache out of the content production process. It allows a lot more effort to go into the research side, into the editorial review side, into verifying whether the information is correct. As we all know, to produce any piece of content, especially written, that can be, sometimes you get writer's block, other times you don't have everything that you want to have at the time, but being able to spin up an AI persona that is your content generation expert, where you give it an outline of the topics that you want to cover, you give it the sources that you want it to reference from, and you also even tell it the type of language that you want it to write. We write in AP English, so we actually ask the AI to produce us in AP English. So I think it will be incredibly important for journalists. I don't see journalists being replaced for, I would say, 5 or 10 years. Maybe ChatGPT 7.0 is going to be so intelligent and so automated that you then will have like a bot that you assign to a particular article. But for the time being, it's super important for all journalists, any content producer, pretty much any job whatsoever, to be learning about AI and to really be trying to understand prompt engineering. This is a huge part of it, is being able to articulate the right language in order to get the response that you want. So there's a ton of great YouTube videos. I'm sure you guys have watched many of them about, there's kind of like A to B when it comes to how good is the prompt that you're spinning up.
Yeah, asking the right question is very important, not only with AI, but I think in life in general. But maybe let's start with a bold prediction you think about. Go ahead.
I'd love to jump on bold prediction for the future. Certainly something I've talked about throughout this. We can talk about, different content creators doing the news, but hey, whoever's going to really capitalize is going to do it in regular YouTube content creation and TikTok, but they're also going to use it in the salacious industries, like the OnlyFans. Like, what is one of the biggest problems with the girls and guys who do OnlyFans? They age out of it, they mature out of it, a lot of them ruin their reputations forever, so while they made bank at the beginning, it kind of hurts them later in life. But what if these girls and guys could just do an AI version of OnlyFans? That girl or guy can work forever, the individual doesn't ruin their reputation, can take any job in the future they want, and no, I will not be the first subscriber and follower, I'll be the first investor. Okay. That's what I think the future is.
Okay.
Good. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I'd say not so much a prediction, but more of a way to think about it is that the human brain, the human mind thinks linearly, so in a sort of a straight line upwards. But AI, computing, it can work in such a way where it is exponential. And the human brain, the psyche, it's very hard to grasp that, as much as we can have many Excel spreadsheets showing how much compound interest works and everything. It's very hard to comprehend that when you're thinking day to day. So when we make the predictions about AI and saying 2 years, 5 years time, 10 years time, it's very hard to tell where it's going to be going. All we know is it is improving and doubling in its improvement every single day behind the scenes. So at some point in December of this year, March of next year, we're going to see the next news bulletin of okay, the next big thing's coming along for AI, and somewhere is going to be. I'd say it's more really the security I'm worried about is when it comes to the AI. But yeah, it's the way to think about it is it works exponentially and not linearly. It will double.
Definitely. Yeah. What do you think, Austin?
Uh-oh.
Marco, can I be honest with you?
Please.
I'm getting sick over here. OpenAI this, NVIDIA that. What about people? What about humanity? How many of you guys like people?
People.
Damn.
Yeah. I don't see too many hands going up. That's the thing.
That's the problem.
They're all AI, that's why.
Yeah.
This guy prefers
This is
robots.
a simulation. That's right.
The point is, Marco, my prediction is that AI clearly not going away, but you know who else is not going away? Altcoin Daily. You know who else is not going away? Busy Crypto. You know who else is not going away? Quality crypto news sites. So my prediction, my challenge to Blake's AI, Altcoin Daily, and hopefully the others, we will beat you to 2 million subscribers on YouTube.
Well, you got a head start. I mean, we're really not there yet. I'll give you that. You can have it, for sure.
Prediction came true.
Yeah. You're already there, aren't you?
No, I'm at 1.1 million on YouTube,
Okay.
1.1 million on Twitter. Anyway, I guess it was a
1.3.
fun little challenge. I'll be working to collab with Blake's AI, but just wanted to remind people about the humanity.
Well, just so you know, like for us, AI is not something that we're leaning on very, very much. You know, it's important to use in certain processes, but at the end of the day, if you think about who's the sugar daddy for AI, anybody know that we're using, that we all know and love?
Amazon.
Elon.
Microsoft. They invested how much in OpenAI?
10 billion, right?
There you go. So, you always want to look at who's the executive producer of that movie? Ah, okay. And who's the executive producer of that documentary who has that agenda? Ah, okay. So it's kind of the same thing there. Who's bankrolling it? Microsoft.
Yep.
Let's be honest. So, think about that.
Nice.
Nate, what do you think?
My prediction is that by the end of the decade, we'll have AGI, which is artificial general intelligence. That is going to be a form of AI that is probably as alien to the current version of AI as AI was at the beginning of the year. When my business partner and I, we started using ChatGPT right around the first week of this year, and we were, within a few days, we were blown away by how much potential this had. AGI is going to take us to another level, and it's going to be like an alien intelligence has landed on Earth. Once AGI is sentient, that's when like all bets are off. Could capitalism go away? That's possible. Will people be on UBI, the majority of people, where then they'll be spending time doing what they love to do as opposed to what they have to do for work? So I think within the next 5 to 10 years, there's any crazy prediction that you're hearing, it's possible. This is going to be the most revolutionary transformation for humanity, probably out of any invention of all time.
That's amazing. I would like to open the floor for you guys. If you have any questions, I think that's the right. I think we have a mic going around, so just raise your hands if you have any question for our panelists. Please. Can we have a mic here, please?
While we wait, I just have a question. Real quickly, if you could just imagine, what is your what if you could have AI do one thing for you, what would it be?
For me.
Just
Ooh.
Genie, boom. What do you want?
Ideas. I need ideas to pitch you guys, basically. That's my job, If AI can give me something that is very different, something that is very, out of the box, that will help me a lot during my job, that's for sure. And of course, creating content, that's also a big part of my job. So it will really be, very, very helpful if an AI can understand basically what my clients are doing and what the audience wants, so that I can have a streamlined process where I just need to put questions, maybe some news that's coming out from my clients, and really have just the pitch ready to go. And yeah, probably the AI on the other side we'll see if they like it.
I'll say mine, time travel.
Whoa. Make the content. Have it go 90% of the way so I can fine-tune it the other 10, maybe 80%, 20%. But I'm not trying to cash out and get out, but just have AI do the basic stuff so then I can fine-tune it and elevate it from there.
Tom?
I think it's already doing what it's doing. I mean, it's providing that research, or at least narrowing down that research. So the fact that it's my wish has already been
Granted.
Yeah, in that sense, yeah. I'm happy in that sense. So, yeah, and utilizing that.
Yeah, give me more time without losing myself as like the leader and strategic person putting it together. I mean, just like the video camera, the Photoshop, anything. Just the iPhone made it that much easier to record and edit. I want AI to give me more time so I can get the content out faster without losing my ability to make choices and choose what's best.
Yeah.
So once we have higher token limits for ChatGPT or the OpenAI API, and token limits means like how much data can you put in the prompt. Once we get to a billion token limits, then you'll be able to feed in so much data into it, including pretty much everything that exists in your daily life in the digital form. I basically want to split test future scenarios of what will be the most optimal usage of my time, or how I should be spending my days, what should I be working on. So that's something that is going to come very soon, is the much higher token limits, meaning much more complex prompts.
Amazing. Do we have a mic for the gentleman?
Oh, yeah. Hey, can you? Oh.
Please, yeah.
I would like to ask if you think this needs to be built on a decentralized cloud, and if that decentralized cloud provider would have to be a DAO with a governance. Please raise your right hand if you think, all of the panelists, raise your right hand if you think, yes, it needs to be built on a decentralized cloud, and your left hand if you think it also needs to be a DAO.
If it has to be?
Can we repeat the question?
If it has to
Yeah,
be.
so,
Yeah. Do you think this AI needs to be built on decentralized clouds? Raise your right hand. And do you think it needs to be
Thumbs
a
up or
DAO
thumbs down?
too? Then raise your left hand as well.
Let's do thumbs up or
yeah,
thumbs
so
down.
AI on a decentralized network.
I
Yes
say
or
it
no?
doesn't need to be. That would be cool.
I'd say it doesn't. I say it'll be both. I say it will be built on the most centralized Facebook versions, and then the decentralized versions will come up as well. The fight is still on.
Tom?
Yeah, I'd say ideally it'd be nice to have it decentralized, but you know, when there's large amounts of money, VCs, and I guess also agendas as well, there's going to be a want to have it centralized. So again, ideally, it would be nice to have it decentralized. But the way things usually go is that there's a concentration of power. You know, like we're seeing with Meta, you know, they own Instagram, Threads now.
And there's a
WhatsApp.
spectrum of decentralization, like Bitcoin money, that needs to be decentralized. Doing a game, like the game doesn't need to be as decentralized as the money. So, I mean, in different ways, it can be decentralized.
Nate?
I think AI, at least in the short term, is going to be very highly centralized. I think once AGI becomes self-aware or sentient, then it could have the incentive to want to be as distributed as possible, so it can't be shut down. And we're still a ways off from that, but I think for the time being, it's going to be very localized or very centralized and not decentralized.
You know what the practice test will be? CBDC.
Boo!
Boo.
Yeah, yeah. Are there any other questions?
This guy has
Please.
one.
Yeah. Here.
The guy who looks like all of our dads.
Thanks, guys. Blake, I was in China in June, and I got to see some of the developments that are happening, right? And it's coming way faster than you believe, because they all also have their own chipsets, and they're built into their systems, so their data is already processing. So I've seen, you know, digital humans and streaming and different avatars, and this stuff is coming at us faster than we imagine. So I do think where China led in this area, they're going to continue to. And we're going to see coming into Europe and eventually, I guess, into the States, you know?
Absolutely. I think one of the keys is to never underestimate China.
Yeah, that'd be a big mistake.
Please, here behind you. We have, just two more questions.
Thank you. Following on from this gentleman's question, and in line with Elon's recent sentiment, do you think there's an urgent requirement to decelerate the speed of growth of AI?
I think should we be decelerating the growth of AI as Elon Musk warned, it's going to take over, this is bad for humanity? I think that's a nice thought. The reason I don't think it's realistic, because the money will find a way, and obviously this is so huge. It's happening either way. I would prefer it to happen, one, in America, a country I personally trust more. I'm biased, and two, get that out there so everybody's on the same playing field. Get it out in the public, because if we pretend it's not, publicly we're doing this, we know the US government's going to accelerate it in the background. All these governments are going to accelerate it. So it's happening either way. I say make it public.
Great. Just last question. Thank you.
Hi. I think it's really great we have AI and everything that is happening, but my question would be, how do we, those who design it, those who use it, but ultimately all of us collectively make sure that AI is designed ethically, is used ethically, because these things can can bring a lot of benefit to all of us, but it can turn ugly quite quickly as well.
AI can make OnlyFans more ethical. Like we said, there's a lot of reputational risk to people doing OnlyFans nowadays. But if we have a fake person, no more reputational risk. It's a little bit more ethical, I'd say.
Dude, do you have another example besides OnlyFans?
It's very
Lots
deep.
of OnlyFans.
I'm reading the audience. I know they get it.
Nate, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think the key with ethical AI usage is full disclosure. So being very clear when AI is being used. Obviously, not everyone is going to follow that, so that's where blockchain eventually could be a great marriage for AI, is being able to verify what's true or what's not true. We're probably still a few years out from that, but in the meantime, just being able to be fully transparent with your audience or whoever you're working with that something is using AI or not.
And the real innovators might ride the line of ethics. You know, back when people used to sample music, my other example, used to sample music in the past, that was illegal. And you did have to do proper credits, and some people got in trouble. But nowadays, it's just, the tools are so ubiquitous and easy to use. Everybody's sampling, and now it's part of life. But those early innovators were getting in trouble.
Yeah, I remember Elon Musk said he was I believe, a speciesist, right? Like he said, wait a minute, you're for humans more than you are for AI? Yeah, I am. Much in the same way that we think about one another more than we think about animals. True?
Yeah.
So you have to think of it like that. And animals think more about themselves than insects. It's sort of like that. And he broke it down that way. He's broken it down that way in an interview, saying that, yes, I'm going to put our human race as a priority. And AI should not supersede that.
Great.
I think that you need large amounts of data to actually train AI in the first place. So then how do you make sure that that data is not biased and we don't repeat all the faults and all the bad things that we've done so far?
I think, again, people were using this example in blockchain, that before blockchain was invented, the winners wrote history. The people that won the battle wrote the history. With blockchain, one of the big parts of it is that now we can have verifiable information from both sides. Not to say that winners won't try and get their history in, and the losers or just the other side won't try and get their in, but because now we have a verifiable way to go back, unlike 1,500 years ago, whenever, that they just burn the libraries and write their own, now we can at least go back and find both sources, so then it's a little easier to verify on your own what's real and what's a little biased.
Can I just say real quick, make sure everybody comes back at 3:30. Me and my brother are giving a keynote here. It's one you don't want to miss, 3:30.
All right.
And also, don't forget, DJI is going to be taking the stage, kicking off the closing party. So if you want to see what virtual influencers are all about, you're in the right place.
I'll be there, Blake, 3:30, and your thing.
Let's
Perfect.
go.
We got it coming up.
All right.
Both of us.
We are out of time. Thank you very much, everyone.
Cheers, guys.